guests that come on, they're either people that have overcome some tremendous odds in their own lives as they balance this thing called life, or they're experts and they're here to share tips and strategies that will help you better balance and manage your life. Grab your virtual seats and let's get ready for some real, relevant, and relatable content on today's episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of The Kim Jacobs Show. I am super excited because we have with us today Elizabeth Meigs, and we're going to be talking about how to heal, how to be empowered, how to overcome. During this holiday season that's happening, we want you to be equipped with some ways to thrive, not just survive, but to thrive. And Elizabeth is here with us today for that exact reason. How are you today, Elizabeth?
I'm doing wonderful, Kim. Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited, and I've had you on with an anthology of other authors, and you came in and just briefly shared your story. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so inspiring. It's so uplifting and edifying and heartwarming. And I really thought that this would be a great way for you to really expand a whole lot more on your journey.
Yes.
So glad. And listen, as you all grab your virtual seats, go ahead and quickly grab them. Make sure you put your name, where you're visiting in from, and what do you hope to walk away with today as you learn from Elizabeth Meigs. So go ahead, and while you're grabbing your seat, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our special guest to you today. All right. Let's see, Elizabeth, I'm so excited. Elizabeth Meigs is a passionate transformational coach, inspirational speaker, author, and founder of Elizabeth Inspires. That's a fitting name for sure. Through her signature Pathway to Peace method, she empowers individuals to break free from the chains of confusion, overwhelm, doubt, and help you be able to pursue your God-given purpose with clarity and resilience. Now, she has a lot of different accolades, but one of the things that I think is important to let you know is that she, as an author, she is extremely well-versed. We're going to talk about something that happened to her that was traumatic in her life. I'm not going to read that, but in appreciation for taking the time to read about how God has worked miracles in her own life and to demonstrate how he can do the same in yours, she invites you to be a part of several programs that she offers that's free for you to come and be a part of them. So you're going to learn about those today as well. So I just want to say thank you so much for being Elizabeth Inspires. ElizabethInspires.com. Welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show.
Thank you. And like I said, I'm just excited to be here. And you talked about equipping your audience. I'm very blessed that I was equipped to be able to overcome everything that I've overcome. And I've been able to help people the last 12 years who are trying to overcome those same obstacles. And I just feel so very blessed that God brought me the clarity on the exact strategies that through his grace and mercy, I was able to develop to be able to overcome.
Well, to God be the glory for that, Elizabeth. So if you will, just take us back, because on this show, we're talking about how people balance all of their different aspects of their lives and what they've had to overcome to even be who they are today. A lot of times we only get to see people in the finished, polished state. But what about what you went through to get to where you are today? Can you talk to us from your journey and your backstory?
Yes. I want to touch on something you said, though, the finished, polished state. But so many times when we see someone, we think they are at the happiest, that we think that they're at the best, but a lot of times that is a facade, that's a mask. For over a decade, people saw the smile on my face, and they thought that everything was great. But honestly, they didn't have any idea what was going on the inside. And the smile on my face didn't reveal where I actually was. So 24 years ago, nearly almost 24 and a half years ago, coming up on 24 and a half years, I was severely injured in a car accident. Before that night, I was 14 at the time. Before that night, my life was easy. It was perfect. Everything was going for me. I had been singing and performing for over half my life. I was very popular, play every sport, cheerleader. Everyone wanted to be my friend, and
Right.
my life was easy. Had been taking voice lessons. My voice teacher believed in my gifts and talents that she saw. So I had been in a recording studio cutting a demo tape with plans to move into Nashville to pursue a career in country music.
Okay.
Graduated high school. But then 1 week into my freshman year of high school, my whole world was turned upside down. I was severely injured in a car accident where I ended up suffering a traumatic brain injury. I had to be resuscitated multiple times at the scene to get me stable, to be transported to the rural hospital where, frankly, they weren't equipped to meet any of my medical needs. So I had to be life-flighted to the nearest trauma center an hour and a half away by car, where when my parents and family arrived at this trauma center, they would receive a very dim prognosis, less than a 25% survival rate. The neurosurgeon would inform my family that my brain was swelling rapidly, and the first 48 to 72 hours would be the most critical. If I survived that long, my chances would improve. But he made no promises. He let my family know that I would need to be placed in a drug-induced coma to allow my brain and my body the best chance of survival. 24 hours in, they were able to get me stable. But then in the middle of the night on Sunday, a little over 24 hours in, I took a drastic turn for the worse. My brain began swelling rapidly. Doctors were working frantically to find the right medication to bring that swelling down. But this was looking like the end. There was actually a Calvary Baptist minister in the pediatric ICU unit that night who offered to come and pray with my family. Our minister was at a conference away, so he couldn't be with my family during this time.
Right.
It would be in the middle of this prayer that my mom would feel a weight lifted off of her shoulders. And she knew in that moment that I was going to survive. It was approximately 1 hour after that prayer was conducted that the doctors were able to find the right medication to bring that brain swelling down and get me stable. That was the first sign that we ever had about how prayers can make miracles happen.
That's right. Oh my God. Okay. Well, you know what? I had to put you front and center because I want people to feel exactly what I felt when I was just hearing you share that testimony is what I consider it. So I think today, even though we're talking about the Kim Jacobs show, right? Well, I can't separate who I am technically from what I produce, right? And so I'm so honored when I have a guest come on that speaks directly to me personally. And not everybody that comes on is that the case because we may share opposing views or whatever. And I still let them come on because at the end of the day, we can all reach different types of people. So I don't need everybody to be walking Kims in order to be a part of the Kim Jacobs show and reach other people out in the world. But what I hear you saying, Elizabeth, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that you give all honor and glory to God. Is that correct?
Yeah. I would not be here today if it was not for him and his plan for my life, what he has called me to do, because that was just the beginning of my coma. Once I came out of my coma after 3 weeks and relearned to walk and do everything and care for myself again, and when I made it back into school, that's when I began to face the most difficult challenges that I would ever face. Because honestly, that girl chasing her dreams of making it big on the country music stage, she died in that car accident, and those dreams died with her. I realize now that I began a journey of rediscovery.
Interesting.
So,
Let me interject there for a second, because there are a lot of people that are watching today, and this show streams in other countries as well, through CTR Media Network. Oh, speaking of which, CTR and Media Network, we're now on Fire TV and Roku and Amazon, all kind of different platforms on television as well.
mhm.
Now to the Kim Jacobs Show. So thank you, CTR Media Network, for that. But people that are watching and tuning in, Elizabeth, they have had some traumatic experiences in their own lives,
Yeah,
and their dreams died in
yeah,
that moment. Now that moment may have been an accident, may have been the death of a loved one, may have been a divorce. It's a lot of things that
yeah,
make you feel like that dream is dead. how
exactly.
how do you advise or encourage people to keep moving from 14 years old to where you are now, when your dream, and you know it, you know that the dream died back there? How do you keep anything alive at that point to keep pressing forward?
Well, I realize now that that dream was gone, but it didn't really die. It was more of a shift. So our dreams shift as we're faced with challenges, as we're faced with this world changing. This world is constantly changing. So those challenges, those struggles that you face on a daily basis, they aren't going anywhere anytime soon, which is one of the reasons why I'm here. I'm here to equip people with the strategy so that they can become resilient, so that they can bounce back from their struggles, bounce back from those changes, and learn how to shift so that they can gain confidence, gain courage, gain clarity to truly reclaim their power to pursue their purpose.
That's good.
The dreams shift, but you still have a purpose. It may not be clear what it is, but by refusing to give up, figuring out the way forward, by just seeking that path,
Mm.
it's not going to be easy, but as long as you continue to seek and try to find the right tools to help you to get there, that path is going to be laid before you, just as it was for me.
Wow, very encouraging. And so when you were seeking that path, because you said pretty much the real work began when once you got out of the hospital, I guess, into the rehab situation. So what was your motivating factor? What was the way that you could start implementing some of the tools and strategies you were learning to get to the next phase of your life?
Well, when I was in that dark hole, that pit of despair that I seemed difficult to get out of,
Mhm.
I was dealing with judgment. I was dealing with rejection because once back in school, people who didn't know of the accident or didn't know me before the accident would decide that I wasn't worth their time.
Wow.
This was devastating to me because I had never experienced anything like this before. So I would come home from school multiple days a week because, you see, my friends' lives had gone on. They still played the sports we loved, went out on the weekends, worked their part-time jobs. I was doing therapy after school every day of the week for years. Schoolwork was so much more difficult. So they didn't seem to have any time for me, nor did they seem to care if I was around. That's the way I saw it. I know now that they honestly had no idea what I was going through and how to give me what I needed.
You know what? Let's put a pin right there for a minute, because that's an important piece.
Mhm.
Everybody that's watching today, and as the balance doctor, I'm Kim Jacobs. I'm the
Yep.
balance doctor, right? So what I help you do too is put some of these missing pieces of the
Yep.
puzzle in your life that might really be something that you're struggling with. You're trying to
Yep.
figure this out yourself, but you only can do what you know to do. What Elizabeth just said is so critically important. I want
Mhm.
y'all to take note of what she just said.
Yep.
They did not know how to give her what she needed. It wasn't that they were trying to be cruel per se to her
Right.
personally. They're like, this is beyond my capacity. I
Yeah.
can only do what I can do. And that ain't what I can do. That's not what I'm good
Exactly.
to do.
And we all deal with that. So next time you are dealing with judgment, you are dealing with rejection, I want you to know that it honestly has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with that person that is doing the judging or the rejection. And
Now you all up in my message on what God gave me for Sunday a little bit here, because this right here is right there on that vein. We have to know that.
Yeah. Honestly, you allowing them to steal, kill, steal, and destroy from you, that's just harming you. When you can learn to let that go and say, okay, they do not deserve any of my time, that's one of the steps that brings peace and freedom. When you can just walk away.
That's good.
But that's why it's important to find your tribe. And it took me
good.
Well over a decade.
With you, Elizabeth, you saying just find that place where you decide, okay, I have to keep going and keep moving for me. That is easier said than done. So people say that a lot. I have to keep moving for me. I can't worry about what other people think. I can't worry about whether they're judging me, what they're thinking about me, what they're saying to me, how they're discouraging me, whatever. But at the end of the day, we all fall prey to it some kind of way.
Right.
So what advice would you give for people to make that serious decision to walk forward in your own purpose so that you could get to where you are today? If you failed back then, you would have possibly committed suicide. You could have done a lot of things.
Yeah. And I wanted to. So yeah, I'm going to answer that question. So I would come home from school multiple days a week and tell my parents I should have died. I wish I was dead and I want to kill myself. I found myself on my knees crying out to God saying, why did you do this to me? What did I do to deserve this? But that's when I received my answer. And it would come in the form of a voice on my heart, a voice that said, I have a plan for you. You can't stop. You have to keep going. This voice would bring me the only comfort and peace that I would receive for over a decade. And right now, I'm sharing this with you because no matter where you're at, I promise you, there's a plan for you. You can't stop. You have to keep going. Jeremiah 29:11 is a promise. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not harm you. Plans to give you hope in the future. His voice on my heart back from 2000 to 2006 was my hope. Hope for a better future. Today, I'm giving you that same voice of hope. He has called me to be that voice of hope for each and every single one of you who is struggling right now. I didn't know how and I didn't know when, but I knew in that moment when he spoke to me that I couldn't give up because I knew one day I was going to need to be for someone else exactly what I needed in that moment. I didn't have any idea what that looked like, but by golly, what I was going through, I wouldn't have wished on a single soul. So I had to figure it out. And I promise you, it's no different for you. When you choose, it's all about choices. When you choose to continue getting up, when you choose to begin seeking that path, those doors are going to be open before you. It's not going to be easy, but nothing worth doing ever comes easy. And I've learned that it's the challenges that make the victory so much sweeter once you finally break through.
Yes.
So just by continuing to get up, and choose and trying to seek a better way, seek support, seek help through whatever you're going through. That's when that way is going to be appear, and that path is going to be laid before you. But if you don't choose to pull yourself out of that pit of despair, out of that dark hole to keep going, you're not ever going to find it. And that's when my heart breaks because over the last specifically over the last 12 years, I have grown close to people in my life that I'm able to see their potential. That's one of the gifts that God gave me, is I'm able to see the potential in others and believe in them and offer them what they need to be able to get a leg up and gain clarity and find their purpose and fully pursue it. But so many times, the people don't believe in themselves enough. They don't believe in the greater good and how God can just turn it all around. Yeah. They don't have that strong faith and trust in Him. So they just choose to remain. And that's what breaks my heart. But I know all I can do is pray for them and pray that one day they will wake up and be able to take that step forward.
Wow. We're talking, everyone, with Elizabeth Meigs, who experienced a traumatic accident at the age of 14, had big dreams of becoming a person that was she was cutting a demo, getting ready to do some country music stuff on an international level. So God had, in her opinion, great plans for her. But those plans are still great, just in a different way, because she's here today on the Kim Jacobs Show, where we bring balance to the world, one household at a time, sharing her journey with you so that you can overcome. Helena, I see you saying yes, and so glad to have you here today. Any other comments? I'd love to be able to acknowledge you all as well. So Mackenzie, you're welcome to put those up throughout the broadcast. You said, oh, God can turn it around. God can turn it around. And sometimes when we look at how God can turn it around, I see you, Yolanda, too, saying good morning. Glad to have you here today. And again, you all share this broadcast. Share the broadcast with your friends. Tag some people. Invite them to be a part of today's discussion on how you can heal and be encouraged and empowered, even through traumatic situations in your life. God turned it around for you, Elizabeth. And you made a conscious choice to stay here on this earth. When you made that decision, how did you start walking and operating differently as a result of that?
Every night before I went to bed, no matter what had happened during the day, there was a day that I had had suicidal thoughts and had wanted to kill myself. It was a day that I had begged God, why am I still here? Why didn't you just take me? Everything would be easier if I was no longer here. That's the way I thought. But again, I didn't see what that would have done to my parents, what that would have done to my family.
That's right.
Because it was during these times when I was at my weakest that they were holding each other, but crying because they didn't know how to help me.
That's right.
But no matter what, I knew that there was one person or one thing in this world that did know what I was going through. And that was God. He has a plan for me. He knew exactly what I was going through. And He equipped me with everything I need within me to be able to pull myself out of it. So I began going to bed every night with a thankful and grateful heart, praying to God, thanking Him for my life, thanking Him for my blessings, asking Him to lead me, to help me to make the right choices so that I can do His will with my life, help the people that He placed in my path. I also prayed for everyone in the world because I couldn't imagine anybody else in this world having to suffer the way I was suffering. Like I said earlier, I wouldn't have wished that on anyone.
Right.
So I just begged God to help them in the same way He was helping me.
Wow. And do you feel like you were a light in your family while you were going through this, because they were getting a chance to witness you in real time, giving this gratitude and honor to God?
Honestly, at that point, this was something I kind of kept to myself because I hadn't gained the confidence at that point that I needed to fully step in. It takes growth. It takes growth through the challenges to get you where you need to be. And again, that's why I am here today. I am here today to let you know that our Creator has equipped you with everything you need within you to be able to come out of that dark pit of despair, to rise above. But it does take growth. When I would pray to God, I wanted to know what that plan was for me right then, but I see so clearly now, I was not ready. I was nowhere near ready. And it was going to take other challenges that I never dreamed that 20 years later, after I had, well, let me back up a little bit. 12 years after the accident, I finally graduated college. When I went on to college, college was a bit easier because I didn't deal with as much judgment and rejection, but the judgment and rejection that I continued to deal with, I had learned to let go of. So it didn't affect me in the same way. And I graduated after 12 years with a degree in occupational therapy.
Yay.
And when I walked into my first patient's room who had suffered a stroke, they were discouraged. They were lacking hope. The fact that I could sit across from them and share with them my story, that's when I saw the power behind my story. And that's when I began to realize, okay, I am that same voice of hope for them that God was on my heart after the accident.
That is, I'm tagging people because this is amazing. You are a voice of hope. Now, what I'm hearing you, and there's a person that's getting ready to do a huge thing about being a voice of hope, and she's coming on the Kim Jacobs show. So I just actually tagged her. I hope she sees this. You are a true testimony to being a voice of hope. God used your traumatic accident at the age of 14. 20 years later, you're walking in to someone who's hopeless, who's laying in despair, and you're coming in as their occupational therapist. They don't know how blessed their lives are and how their lives are going to change forever because they're encountering you.
Well, and that's the thing. Because I chose to get up and continue walking that path, once you start to grow into the person you need to become to be able to truly fulfill your purpose and your calling, you're going to get confirmation. So being an occupational therapist was the first confirmation I'm on the right path. I had to continue figuring it out. Now, 5 years later, 3 years of being a therapist, I was becoming burnt out. I was becoming overwhelmed. I was becoming stressed because the job I had originally had after I graduated, our rehab unit closed, so I wasn't doing what God had called me to do. But at that point, God opened the door because I was praying to him, okay, God, I need you to tell me what I need to do because I'm not happy here. 1 Corinthians 10:13, I will not allow you to be tested beyond your means, but with your testing, I will provide a way out.
Yes.
And so in 2015, I had the opportunity to move to Waco, Texas. This would be 8 hours away from all of my family, all of my support, just me and my dog. But I had to do it because it was going to get me back to doing what God had called me to do. I couldn't let fear stop me. I want to give you a little tip about what fear is. Fear is just false evidence appearing real. There is a 50-50 chance that whatever is on the other side of that fear, that's exactly what you need to do to get you on that right path. So again, find support. Find the people that can help to lift you up so that you can gain that courage and that confidence to step out and make that move.
To God be the glory.
I moved to Waco and I got back to doing as I was called to do, but God wasn't done. And I had no idea until he brought me to a church in January of 2017 that had to celebrate recovery.
Yeah.
What God was doing. I didn't know much about Celebrate Recovery at the time. I knew it drug, alcohol abuse, anyone with any kind of hurts, habits, or hang-ups, struggling goes to this, and I would learn more. But I thought to myself, wow, if I'm able to help my patients that I'm seeing at my regular 9 to 5, what could I do getting up on a stage and giving my testimony, helping a whole room full of people? That's when my eyes were open. And again, confirmation. After I spoke the first time, everyone in the audience was moved, and people were coming up to me telling me how much hope I gave them. One night, after I gave my testimony, a woman came up to me and said, Beth, I wasn't going to come to church tonight, but something was telling me I needed to be here. I know now that that was God. I needed to hear your story. Thank you.
The whole world needs to hear your story.
Confirmation. I knew in that moment, by golly, I've got to figure out how to get on more stages, because that's how I'm going to be able to glorify Him. That's how I'm going to be able to fully step into my purpose and my calling. So I continued to be a leader in Celebrate Recovery. I worked my 12 steps. God, again, 1 Corinthians, I will not allow you to be tested beyond your means, but with your testing, I will make a way out. In the spring of 2017, God spoke to me about the friend who had invited me to this church. And He told me that He brought us together to bring us both closer to Him, and that I needed to tell Him this. I didn't understand it at the time. And I actually laughed at God after He told me that, because I thought, bring us together to bring us both closer to you. What the heck are you talking about? I'm close to you.
Right.
I'm hearing your voice right now. You're crazy, God, And I know you're laughing at me right now as I'm sharing this, Lord. But and I asked God multiple times over the 2 years that we were in each other's lives why He spoke to me, and He never gave me the answer. But that's because it wasn't time for that answer.
That's
3
important.
years after I met this friend and had been given my testimony, trying to figure out more ways to get on bigger stages, I would get married. I would move to Dallas, where God was, through the business I had at the time, I was going to networking events, and God was aligning me with people that saw my value, saw what I had to offer, and would continue to encourage me. That's why who you surround yourself with is so important.
Very important.
When you are feeling down, you want to surround yourself with people that lift you up. Yes. That's the only way that's going to get you through. Mm-hmm. So, as God was bringing people into my life that were giving me tips and connecting me with people to get me on bigger stages and help me to learn what I needed to do to fully grow into what He was calling me to do, my husband at the time would tell me that no one would ever pay me to share my story. The only financial security I would ever have would be through my degree, which broke my heart, because honestly, I was growing into what God was calling me to do, the person I needed to be. So my heart, while I was still helping my patients, and God was moving me into specific rooms of patients that needed me as a therapist, as He had done all of the last 12 years of my life, my heart was more at getting on a stage and being able to glorify Him to a much bigger audience.
Right.
And I knew that I have a plan for you. You can't stop. You have to keep going. That was a promise. So the enemy, the world, whatever it was using my husband at the time to try to stop me. I was being judged again. I was being rejected. My dreams weren't going to come true. But God was aligning me with those people that were lifting me up. Had I not been lifted up through my networking groups, I wouldn't have survived that 2.5-year marriage. Last year, April 3rd, 2023, God opened my eyes. This was the Monday before Easter. God opened my eyes to what I had been enduring for 2.5 years. He let me know that I wasn't where I was going to be able to fully fulfill what he was calling me to do.
Right.
I wasn't fully going to be able to step into my purpose. At the time, I hadn't seen it as verbal and emotional abuse. I didn't see that until later. That friend that he had brought into my life in 2017 had spoken to me about almost exactly 6 years earlier to the day, had asked about me. I hadn't seen this friend in over 3.5 years. We hadn't been close in over 4.5 years. My good friend from Waco reached out to me and said, he's asking about you and wants to know how you're doing. I was concerned because much of the time that we were in each other's lives, I would try to support him. He was not in a good place. He had been on my heart since the beginning of January 2023, out of nowhere. And I didn't understand it. So when he was on my heart, I just started praying for him every day, just as I had when we were in each other's lives. God let me know that I needed to escape my marriage. So that night, I prayed to God and I said, okay, God, I'm about 99% sure you need me to go back to Waco. I think I know now why you spoke to me in 2017, but I need you to give me a sign.
Right.
Because I'm not fully 100% sure. A little over 24 hours later, he gave me that sign. So after that sign was delivered, I went to him in prayer again and said, okay, God, if you need me to go back to Waco, I need you to make a way because I'm not going to be able to do it.
Right.
Unless you make a way, I'm not going to be able to do it on my own.
That's right.
But the thing about God is it's a partnership.
Yes,
he doesn't do 100% of it. You have to make the move.
That's right.
You have to do your part. So after I said that prayer, I called the director of therapy where I had been working for 2.5 years, PRN, as they needed me. And they have a sister hospital in Waco now. And I called and I said, do they need any help in Waco? I need to get back to Waco. And I explained the situation. Within 24 hours, I was able to transfer from Dallas to Waco. The next 24-hour period, I was approved for an apartment that I thought I could afford. And I was able to make that move. But I wasn't going to be able to move into that apartment for a week and a half. So I started calling friends. This was Friday.
Okay, you know you taking us on a lifetime. Take a minute before everybody listen. We're gonna do this. We're gonna take a commercial break because y'all can feel it like I feel it. I'm about to finish her story for her, but we're gonna take a quick commercial break and we're gonna come back and hear what happened with Elizabeth and her reconnection and some other things that transpired right after this commercial break. We'll be right back. Elizabeth Meigs.
Hi, I'm Kim Jacobs, the Managing Director of the Charlotte, North Carolina chapter of eWomen Network. I am so excited that you stopped to watch this video. I've got good news for you. You've just discovered an international network of women entrepreneurs who are committed to helping you achieve, succeed, and prosper. We're on a mission here to help 1 million women entrepreneurs each achieve $1 million in annual revenue. Here at eWomen Network, we have a complete success system that supports you every step of the way in building and growing your business. You being here right now is no accident. We're supposed to know about you. We want to meet you to find out how we can help you as well as learn about what you have to offer. with over 500,000 women connected through 118 chapters across the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom, you are never alone. If this is resonating with you, please go to eWomenNetwork.com/Charlotte. Notice too my contact information. I invite you to reach out to me and to check out our upcoming in-person and online events. I'm really looking forward to introducing you to our special community.
All right, everybody, we are back. And as you could see before the break, we were getting ready to hear something real juicy. Let me make sure I put this up. Did I put that? Yeah. So I want you to go to eWomenNetwork.com/Charlotte. And we have an event that's happening on the third Thursday of each month. And actually, our event is happening at the Charlotte Museum of History. If you haven't already gotten your tickets, make sure you get it. We're talking about Be Big at this networking event. And you don't want to miss that. All right, Elizabeth, go ahead. Take us home on this story.
So I wasn't going to be able to get into my apartment for a week and a half. So I wasn't going to have anywhere to stay when I left. And I was going to need to leave on Saturday night, the night before Easter, because honestly, I couldn't leave when my husband at the time was home, because it would have been an argument. It would have been more manipulation, more control. And honestly, I couldn't deal with that anymore. So I was blessed by my dog groomer at the time, sent me a message Saturday morning when I was at my job working and said, you can stay here as long as you need. When you called me on Friday, because I had called her on Friday asking if she or any of her friends had a room to rent or whatever. I was only going to need it for a short amount of time. I just had to get back to Waco.
Okay.
But she didn't know of anyone. So I started posting in one of the Waco Facebook groups looking for an Airbnb, and people were popping up to help me out. They kind of sensed my urgency.
Right.
And so I was being offered. Well, she texts me and says, Beth, we have a spare room. You can stay with us as long as you need.
Okay.
But she said, we've got plans tonight. So if you leave tonight, you need to come a little bit later. We won't be home until like midnight. So I left Saturday night. My ex-husband was playing piano at a church on Easter morning. So an hour and a half away from where we lived. So he was going to be gone that evening. That was the time I needed to leave, when he would not be home. Sunday morning, early, I pulled into their driveway on Easter morning. The peace that I had lost when I got married had returned. I see now that the timing was no coincidence. I had to rise up out of my grave of despair, just as Jesus did in his resurrection, so that I could fully step into my miracle power. Resurrection power, miracle power, that is what God has equipped me to be able to help others find with my strategies. I pulled into their driveway and I found the peace that I had lost. Coming weeks after I had made my escape, God brought me clarity on specific strategies that I had developed recovering from my car accident, that had I not developed these strategies, I wouldn't have survived my marriage. That's how my Pathway to Peace method framework came about. God recently, within the last month, spoke to me before I was speaking at a healing conference and told me that I'm supposed to speak to his miracle power, because honestly, I shouldn't be here.
That's right.
I've been called a miracle my entire life because I wasn't supposed to even be born. My parents were told they couldn't have children. And honestly, before the car accident, I was known as the miracle baby, and I got sick or tired of hearing it. I would just smile politely and, yeah, sure. But now I'm where I can fully step into that miracle power because it's what he's called me to do.
Yes. Okay. Wow. So for some reason, I don't know, and you can tell me, I was for some reason, and anybody in the studio audience that you were thinking the same thing. I thought this story was somehow going to go back to your person that was back in the day. No?
Well, we're still friends.
Okay.
It didn't turn out like that.
Oh, okay. I was like,
I do want to tell you that he was a true blessing from God because he was the first friend that believed in me.
Aw.
That night, 17 years, it took me 17 years for me to be able to find a place where I finally felt like I belonged after the car accident.
Right.
And the night that God spoke to me about him and I shared with him the next night what God shared, he gave me a hug and he said, "I'm so blessed I met you. So blessed that I made you a part of my family, and I see the beautiful person you are." He wouldn't let me forget that he saw the beautiful person I was. That was the first time that I had ever met an outsider who didn't judge me, didn't reject me, and saw my heart.
So he's like your forever friend person.
Yeah,
So
forever. Yeah, he'll always hold a special place in my heart.
That's good.
And God let me, that's what I needed for me, my confidence to be grown for what God was calling me to do.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad. I'm really glad that this is happening in your life and that there are some things that you have actually created that I want people to walk away with today. One of which is the concept of hope, which is healing that opens pathways to empowerment. How did that emerge in your life? And how do you implement that and teach people with those strategies?
God, I gained clarity, and I knew that my mission had to some way be hope because that was his voice on my heart.
Yes.
And I just problem solving it out. One of my good friends who is also a business owner, her and I went back and forth, and she said, "Beth, you've helped me so much, and it's through healing." She said, "It's got to be something with healing, with hope. That H has to stand for healing." And I just sat down and I started working it, and it was delivered.
And so when people connect with you, Beth, I hear you saying Beth a lot, so I'm just gonna call you Beth too, right?
Okay.
So I feel like I'm a friend now at this point. When people connect with you through ElizabethInspires.com, what can they expect when they do connect with you?
That friend who believed in me, you're going to get that same gift that I received. God gave me the gift to be able to see people's hearts, to be able to see that he has equipped them with everything they need. They just need that one person to believe in them. When you don't believe in yourself, when you hear external voices that are turning into internal voices saying that I'm a fraud, I'm stupid, I'm a screw up, because all those voices were voices in my head, I want you to shut them down, and I want you to tell yourself that they're lies, and I want you to replace them with my voice saying, "I can do this." I want you to know those dreams were placed on your heart for a reason, and you have everything within you to be able to make them come true. It's not going to be easy, but like I said, it's the challenges that make the victory so much sweeter once you finally break through. On different podcast interviews over the years that I've been interviewed on, people have asked me if I could go back and change any of the challenges, any of the struggles that I've endured over the last 24 years, would I? My answer is no, because they were vital in helping me to be able to fully step into my miracle power and be able to grow into the person you see here before you today.
Yeah, maybe you're gonna make me, you're gonna make me be slain over here in the spirit. I don't just get slain on Sunday. I'll be done laid back out here on the floor. This is so inspiring. So how do you encourage people to recognize the miracles in their own lives, because a lot of times people only see the miracle when it's a traumatic experience. And then you say, oh, this was a walking, living testimony of a miracle of God still doing miracle signs and wonders in the 21st century. Elizabeth, she's a miracle. What about them being a miracle?
I do have some free resources and then some resources that are a small investment. And one of those resources is a 30-day miracle tracker. So after God spoke to me that I'm supposed to speak to his miracle power and how he's still making miracles happen today, just as he did in the Bible, he's like, okay, you have to create this tool. So I created a miracle tracker that every day you can look back and you can start pulling out the miracles in your life. This is vital. As I look back now on the last 24 years of my life, and I keep telling myself when I'm working on my book that is fully just me, I need to start counting and keep track of how many miracles. My life.
So they can get that on ElizabethInspires.com.
Yeah,
okay.
Under the resources tab, yes, ma'am.
Y'all make sure you go to Elizabeth Inspires, ElizabethInspires.com, and get that free resource. It's under the resource guide. Where is it? Let's see.
Yeah, the resource tab.
Tracker.
I also have, so one other thing that before we have to get off here, I have a free VIP Double Your Peace discovery call. Spend 30 minutes with me. You're going to fill out a form before that meeting so that I know where you're at, and we can spend 30 minutes on the phone. I can share with you a little bit about me and whatever it relates to where you're at and what you're dealing with, show you that I too have dealt with something similar and how I was able to get out of it, giving you just a few of those strategies. And after you do this call with me, you're going to get my free guide to double your peace and joy. That's as in cool. A little ebook. You get it as a download.
So if you all go to her website, ElizabethInspires.com, I have right here the 30-day miracle tracker that you can see, rise, reflect, and reclaim your victory. But then at the top of that tab, there are all kinds of other resources as well available there. And you don't want to miss all of the free resources or even just a small cost associated with being able to connect with this woman. I can tell you it's a game changer. She's a game changer because she wants to be your friend, and things you already have laying dormant inside of you. She's like, here, I believe in you. I want to help you. I'm here for you. So I'm excited about what you're offering, Elizabeth. And I will give you a chance to say another comment as well. Let me take a moment to just invite you all to contribute to the Kim Jacobs Show. There are times when I have this program on and I bring great guests. We bring wonderful, not I, but we, because I have Mackenzie backstage and Cassandra and different team members. We bring tremendous guests here on the Kim Jacobs Show. And this is just a moment of an opportunity for you. I'm going to pull this up for you to screenshot it and take a moment today. Sometimes when you're in the midst of busyness, it's like, I'm going to definitely support her broadcast. I'm definitely going to support this program because they bring value to the community and they help bring balance to the world. Well, take a moment today. Right now, if you can, go send a cash app to $Kim Jacobs Inc. Or you can go to paypal.me/Kim Jacobs Inc. Even on Venmo at the Kim Jacobs Show. You can Zelle, which a lot of people have Zelle, 704-962-7161. And I do see different ones that do send contributions. And we'll do a time of just shout outs and thank yous for all of you that contribute to the broadcast. But take a moment, if you will, and do that today. We'd greatly appreciate your support. That's the only way we get to come on every day, Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have new episodes for you that can help your household and your family. All right. So Elizabeth, I wanted to pull up some testimonials because there are people that have testimonials, and just share with us this testimonial.
So my friend Jax works in mortgage and overwhelmed a lot, especially right now with buying a house and stuff. The market isn't the best, but my strategies have really helped her to refocus her energy, look at the positives, and realize that nothing is a forever situation.
That's right.
And she thanks me repeatedly on how I've helped to equip her with the tools to be able to get through her overwhelm, through her stress, through her burnout. When there are times when she just wants to throw her hands up in the air and say, I'm done, and walk away.
Here's another one that I found. Share that one.
Okay. Yes, this is an anonymous testimony because right now she's just not in the best place to be throwing her name out. But there's been periods of challenge in her life, storms over the last year, and I know that God connected her and I for a reason.
Right.
And through the wisdom and the knowledge that I have gained the last 24 years of my life, He has equipped me to begin equipping her so that she can begin to develop the same strategies that I have and be able to rise above. She's gained confidence, she's gained clarity, and she's fully stepping into her purpose. She's beginning to step into her miracle power. Now, it's not quick. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but you have everything you need to be able to do it. This is, I'm a #1 best-selling author in the Women Who Lead book collaboration. It is awesome. You can go to my book tab on elizabethinspires.com and order that book. My chapter is Empowered to Rise, Unlocking the Strength to Overcome and Thrive, where you can see more of my story. You also get a free digital download of the Strength and Spirit Daily Devotional, which is, again, another one of those little tools that you can begin incorporating to be able to help shift your perspective, help start your day off on a positive note, especially when all you see is nothing but negative.
That is so awesome. And I know that you are really big into outdoor activities. So sometimes people think when you've had a traumatic situation like you have, that outdoors is the last place you want to be, but you actually love some special things like kayaking. I've heard some things about you. So what makes you so adventurous? Tell us right quick.
Well, I was born and raised in a small town, very small town in southeast Kansas. I grew up raising horses, being out on the river, fishing, boating, going out to the gun range, shooting my pistol or my rifle, going hunting. But I just love the outdoors. I love being out in nature and getting to see God's handiwork. Of course, I'm not equipped to have a fishing boat or anything like that. So I did the next best thing. I wanted to be out on the lake or the river. So I went and bought me a kayak. I can throw that in the back of my truck and be able to take myself fishing that way. So what you're passionate about, those passions are there for a reason. And if you don't take the time to enjoy those passions,
that's right.
Those are vital for helping you to be able to step into your purpose.
That's right.
Those things that lift you up, those things that bring you joy, those are there for a reason. So make the time. If you're struggling to make the time, find the right support that can help you to learn how to create that time so that you can do those things that you love.
That's good. You are just dropping so many words of encouragement and wisdom. I'm totally inspired by you being here today. I do want to just, as we prepare to close out, get your closing thought in your mind, because I'm going to ask you a question. The question that I'm going to ask you, and before I make this one housekeeping announcement, is how do you leave one last message for those that are struggling, like with burnout, lack of energy, or sense of hopelessness? What would that ultimate message be that you'll share with them as we close the show? Don't share it yet, but I want to share this one one piece of information with you all to let you know. I don't know if you all know or not, but I'm a new pastor here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So for all of you that are watching, wherever you're watching around different countries and throughout Roku and all of these different platforms that the Kim Jacobs Show is now on, thanks to CTR Media Network. I'm the pastor at Promise Fellowship Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I put the new address up here because we are now worshiping at Brownstone Signature Events at 12080 University City Boulevard in Harrisburg, North Carolina. But the thing that I wanted to make as a quick announcement. Now, if you're watching this and this is an episode that's being replayed in May or some other time, then clearly you're not doing that in the summer right now. But this particular week, which right now is November 20th, 2024, unless you're obviously going to be watching a replay if that's the case. But Thanksgiving, for our Thanksgiving service on November 24th, we are giving away turkeys. So everyone will receive a raffle ticket when you get to the church service. And for every guest that you bring, you will receive an additional raffle ticket. So I hope to see you at 10 a.m. at Promise Fellowship Church. And the address again is 12080 University City Boulevard in Harrisburg, North Carolina. Oh, I got to add at the end of that. Okay, anyway. So there you have it. We look forward to you fellowshipping with us. We are a new ministry and we are standing on the promises of God. So I'm looking forward to your participation on this Sunday at 10 a.m. Bring your friends. The more friends you bring, you also get some more raffle tickets. We already started collecting all of these turkeys for you and we'll be ready to distribute them on Sunday. All right. Closing. I see all comments. More comments came in. Let's see. Oh, enjoy your passions. Yes. Lady Justine Hilliard said. And Lady Justine, spread the word. We're going to be giving out some turkeys on Sunday. All right. Tell us a closing thought, Elizabeth, please.
I just want you to know that don't forget that no matter the challenges, no matter the struggles, you have everything within you to be able to rise above and come out on top, to pursue your purpose. Those dreams, those goals, they were placed on your heart for a reason. And it's by continuing to step out, learning how to bounce back. That's what builds resilience. Refusing to give up, that's what's going to get you to where I am. You have everything within you to make it happen. As you begin stepping out, that path, that way is going to appear. And again, as you start walking through those open doors, you're going to receive confirmation. And that's just going to further strengthen you to be able to keep moving forward. So don't ever give up. And please try to find the right support that you need. I do have a Facebook group that I'm just starting. So if you are seeking support, sign up for my newsletter, sign up for one of my free strategies. I will be getting emails out for you to join my Facebook group within the next day. So I want to invite you to join that group and let's just build each other up together.
Don't go through the holidays downtrodden, depressed, overwhelmed. You don't need to when you have people like Elizabeth that's willing to be your friend. If you don't know anybody else in the world that wants to hang out with you, Elizabeth is saying, let me be that person in your life. And she's somebody you may not even personally know. And sometimes, believe it or not, that's the best kind of person for you to connect with because you don't know them and they don't know your story. But they know your pain. They know your struggle. They know what you're dealing with down on the inside because maybe she has experienced something very similar. So I am so glad that you came on the Kim Jacobs Show today. Everybody that appreciates her coming on, hashtag Elizabeth Meigs, put it over in the comments section so that can just go viral. Hashtag Elizabeth, let's type that, Elizabeth, Meigs. And if anything she said to you helped you today, say thank you. Just let's say thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Over the years, I have not realized the impact that I've made on someone. And then weeks later or even years later, I will run into them again and they will tell me, you have no idea what you did for me. And that right there, those are the true blessings and the gifts, the reward that I receive every day. That reward is available for you too.
Well, you have been a blessing today. Everybody stay connected with Elizabeth Meigs at elizabethinspires.com. I hope you'll come back again and tell us. I see some future things that's on the horizon for you as you're preparing to write your own international best-selling book exclusively. I hope you'll come back on the Kim Jacobs Show and launch that book right here with us. And we welcome you at any time. Thank you all, everyone. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I love you all. See you all Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Kim Jacobs Show, where we're bringing balance to the world, one household at a time. Have a great day, everybody. I love you all. Bye-bye. I love it. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Kim Jacobs Show and for being in the virtual studio audience. Your presence truly does make a difference, and I look forward to you bringing your friends and family to join you in the virtual studio audience Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock